Okay, let's talk about something that can be pretty jarring. Imagine this. Your company, out of the blue, announces a massive shift in direction. How do they handle that? And more importantly, how do they navigate that change without leaving their people behind? Well, that's exactly what we're going to dive into.
It's a question that can spark a ton of anxiety, right? I mean, one day you feel like your path is totally clear, you know where you're going, and then bam. The next day, the entire strategy shifts. In the business world, they have a name for this. It's called a pivot.
And here's the thing, these pivots, they aren't just lines on some strategy document sitting in a boardroom. No way. They have a real, direct impact on the lives and careers of every single person in the company. And that's exactly why managing this kind of change in a humane way is just so critical.
So what's the solution here? It's a formal, really structured approach called a humane transition plan. But I want you to think of it less like some dry corporate policy and more like a playbook for doing the right thing, making sure fairness is baked in from day one.
A really solid plan is built on 3 core pillars. First, you've got to build an immediate safety net for anyone who's affected. Second, you have to create a bridge to whatever comes next. And third, and this one's huge, you have to maintain that human connection. So let's break each of those down.
All right, let's start with Pillar 1, the safety net. This is all about giving people immediate stability, especially during a time that feels anything but stable.
A strong safety net really has 4 key parts. It all starts with the essentials, of course, fair financial compensation and making sure health insurance continues. But it goes way beyond that. It's also about providing real, practical help for finding a new role and, just as important, giving people emotional support to help them process what is, let's face it, a major life change.
So when we say outplacement assistance, what does that actually look like? Well, it's not some vague promise. We're talking about tangible, concrete support, professional help with resumes, coaching to nail those interviews, and even helping to make connections to new opportunities. It's really about empowering people for whatever that next step is.
But what about all the employees who are staying with the company? That's where Pillar 2 comes in, the bridge to the future. This is all about supporting the people whose roles might be changing from within.
So on this bridge, there are really 2 main paths forward. On one side, you've got training, upskilling people, giving them new capabilities to fit where the company is headed now. And on the other side, you've got redeployment, which is all about moving talented folks to new teams where their existing skills are still a perfect fit.
Okay, so where does all that training money actually go? The focus is really on future-proofing skills. You see a heavy emphasis on technical upskilling for new technologies, project management to actually execute the new strategy, and leadership development to help guide the teams through all the change.
And that brings us to our final, and you could argue, most important pillar of all, the human connection. Because honestly, without this, even the best laid plans are gonna fall flat.
Think about it. When everything feels up in the air and uncertain, the one thing that brings stability is communication. And it can't just be any communication. It has to be clear, it has to be consistent, and above all else, it has to be honest.
A good communication plan isn't just one big, dramatic announcement. It's a steady, reliable rhythm of information. It might start broad with a company-wide town hall. Then it gets more specific in team briefings. And then it becomes really personal with one-on-one sessions. All of it supported by ongoing updates so no one's left in the dark.
And remember, communication is never a one-way street. A truly humane transition actively wants feedback. By creating channels like open forums, confidential counseling, and structured exit interviews, the company can actually listen, learn, and adjust its approach as things are happening.
So let's pull all this together. What's the big takeaway here? What does it all mean when you're trying to build a better, more humane transition plan?
Why does this matter so much? Well, because when you handle a massive pivot this way, you're doing so much more than just softening a blow. You're actually protecting the trust and morale of your remaining team. You're retaining priceless knowledge. You're strengthening the company's reputation. And maybe most importantly, you're building a culture that's more resilient and adaptable for the future. Which really just leaves us with this final, powerful question to think about. At the end of the day, it's not just about managing change. It's about leading through it with integrity. And that is a question every single leader should be asking themselves.